Hi guys, it's Bobby, your big gay trucker, and this week it's a really great topic for me. My whole life have been just a wonderful friend to so many people, whether it be drag queens and anybody that is transgender, and it just hits home for me. I have so many people that I love so much, and it's so important to me that that is transgender, and I don't look at them as a transgender person. I look at them as the woman they are or the man that they identify as, because to me there is nothing more than that. They are that person, and that's just who I see. That's who I learn to identify them as, and I wish more people in the world would do that. And so today I have a wonderful group of people that are from the transportation industry and are here to talk with us about being transgender and the obstacles they face or the hate they face from their own community as well as family, friends. We're just going to talk today about this and make it one big family discussion out and open, and it's just for all of us to feel comfortable and educate others on what it is that we can say, what we can't say. There's so many things people try to ice skate around subjects, and I don't think that any subject should be looked at as stupid. If you want to know something, ask, rather than misjudge or misgender somebody. Just ask. If it's coming from being questionable rather than assuming knowledge and where you don't have knowledge, just ask someone. So that's a big thing for me that I just want to get across, because everybody deserves to be treated equally. And so this week, with it being transgender awareness, I think that it's very important that this show lined up for this. So we have Alyssa with us, we have Kira, we have Ashleigh, we have Trooper, and possibly Vivian if she figures out how to use the link to log on. So here we go. Let's bring everybody in for a second. And so let's welcome everybody for a minute. And hi, everybody. I thank you so much for joining us and going to talk about these things. I follow each of you on a array of different social platforms. So I thank you all for being here. I want to start by just basically, we'll start with Alyssa and then go to Kira and then Ashleigh and then Trooper, and tell us a little bit about who you are and go from there. So Alyssa.
Well, hi, Melissa. 25, turning 26. So, predominantly a little younger than quite a bit, especially even in the trucking industry. That's a pretty small number compared to a lot of drivers that have been in the industry for a while. Figured myself out probably going on 2 years. Actually just hit my 1 year mark on HRT on my transition yesterday. So that was a big step. A lot of emotions in that. It's been a great first step in taking those steps to be myself, be who I am, kind of thing, and the lead up and the year over the year of being able to come around and actually learn to start loving myself again, and like I said, being one with myself is words can't really describe that feeling. It's like a sense of freedom, when you kind of start seeing the small changes and everything that comes with it. So it's been a lot. Again, I'm still fairly new. I'm still learning a lot. It's been It's been a lot, but I've got a lot of friends. I've got a lot of other quite a few of my friends are transgender as well, so I have a big support system and a big support group, which helps out a lot. That is definitely one thing that it's definitely one thing that I feel like every transgender individual needs, is a good support system and a big support system, because that definitely helps, especially those that are taking those first steps.
Right.
But I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad that I'm glad that can participate.
Well, that's cool. I thank you so much for being here. And we'll get into a lot more stuff here in a few minutes. We'll ask questions and kind of go around on everybody's ideas on stuff. So let's go on to Kira and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm 46 now. Oh my gosh, I'm old. I started driving in 2014. I came out as trans in 2016. Worked for a few companies. I've worked for YRC Freight, Stevens Trucking out of Oklahoma City, and now I currently am an automated truck operator for Locomation in Pittsburgh. So I kind of have a 9 to 5, which is the optimal schedule for any truck driver. I probably really only drive a truck less than 20 hours a week, but it's just testing on roads with automated technology. I'm not really sure what else I can add to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. And Ashleigh?
Well, hi. I am 21. I'm actually not a driver. I'm food service. And I came out last year. And that's about it for me, I guess.
Ashleigh kind of helps out a little bit with Truck Driver Network. So she helps out a little bit with the social media. And so that's kind of why I asked her to be a part, because she's still a part of putting up with the drivers and being a part of our community. So I thought that was, I asked her to be a part of this today. And then Trooper, I know that you are sitting at a shipper. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Trooper 24, going on. I've been a driver, and I found out I was 2 years, but I just now they have been coming out and hoping within the new year I can get some testosterone, getting a hold of a doctor, what or the
Okay. Yeah, so Trooper's breaking up really bad. Sorry about that. I can hear you most of the time, but then parts of it catches out. I don't know if it's actually, I think it's your microphone for some reason. I don't know if it's or somehow it's hooked up. So today, I guess we'll go ahead and, I don't know about Vivian yet, so she may end up popping in. If she does, that's cool. We'll do that. I know that Kira here recently, you had posted a video that caught my eye. So was that actually you in the bathroom?
No. I saw that on. I was actually watching an episode of The Young Turks, and they had covered this particular video, and I looked it up on. I found the person that had originally posted it on TikTok, and so I just reposted that.
I didn't know if it was yours or not. I couldn't tell.
A cis woman that was being harassed because she looked like she might have been trans. So somebody was harassing her in the women's room.
So do you deal with that a lot? Do you deal with that in public?
During the course of my transition, I have only been told to leave a restroom one time. It was actually really in the beginning. It would have been probably, I could almost tell you the date because I know there was a blizzard that day and I was out delivering propane that day, and I was at a pilot in Atoka, Oklahoma. And yeah, I'd already done my business. I'm washing my hands, and one of the women that worked there, she's like, "You need to leave right now." And I'm just like, "What's going on? What's the problem?" And she's just like, "You just need to leave." And she's standing, it's kind of got this like S kind of entryway. So she's standing where I can see her, and she's looking out at the general manager who's standing outside the restroom. And it's almost like she's trying to get some kind of like feedback from him. And he's the only person that ever confronted me about it. And eventually that sunk into my psyche so bad that I couldn't use public restrooms for like 3 months. I was having PTSD. I had trouble sleeping at night, and it got to a point where I was heading out. I'd gotten up early to run my route. It was probably 3 or 4 in the morning, and I started drifting asleep. I'm driving a propane truck, and I snapped my head up just in time to see that I was going right towards that guardrail, and I realized I can't allow myself to live in this fear that these people have created for me. So I just, for lack of a better word, I kind of just, pulled myself up my own bootstraps and just went on with my life. And the only other time that anybody's ever given me any grief in a restroom, I was at a Love's, Seminole, Oklahoma, I believe it was. Again, I did my business, and I come out of the stall, and there's an employee standing there. I just thought she was waiting for a stall. And I go to wash my hands, and she's just staring at me. And I'm like, I look over at her, and she goes, "Oh, I saw you were wearing men's boots. I was going to tell you to go use the men's room." And I just stood, I'm wearing a full face of makeup,
Right.
and I stand up erect, and my breasts are popping out. And she just looked at me. She goes, "Oh, I'm sorry," and just walks out. It's like, what do you think I'm doing in here?
I don't understand some of that stuff at all. I really, really don't. Even my days as a performer, I was never. I was always dressed in full drag, and even in full drag, there were many times I would go to the men's room. And then, so of course I'm gonna get looks in the men's room, but then there's many times just in full drag that I was, people was like, "No, you need to use the women's room." And so it's like, for you and for everyone here, anybody that wants to chime in on it, at what point did you feel comfortable, or did you say to yourself that I need to start using the women's room? Like, was that a very hard thing to do? I could imagine it would be, even for myself. So even as a drag queen, which is totally different, but even as a drag queen and a performer, I've had many times that people has addressed me and said, "You are dressed as female, you should be using the female room." And I myself felt a little uncomfortable at first because I just did. It was for my own, because what I do is for entertainment purposes, which is completely different. You are living your life as your full authentic self. So when did it become comfortable for you to make that change for yourself to use the women's restroom versus the men?
It definitely took a while. And if I'm honest, like, I've always had like a thought in the back of my mind that was always going to be an issue, and up until I think after I actually gone through GRS. I mean, until I had this appendage removed, I was just always paranoid that somebody was going to make a stink. And so I guess you could say then it was 2018 before I could feel that level of comfort.
Right.
And maybe even the 2019, honestly, after I fully recovered.
Alyssa, do you have anything to say about that?
No, because I haven't actually taken those steps to use the women's restroom. I have really bad nerves, and I'm still working on,
I get it.
yeah, I'm still working on getting past that.
Well, I mean, even me and Ashleigh. So Ashleigh lives with me, and I kind of have taken her under my wing, so to speak. And there was moments that we've had where, you know, she was still going to the men's room, and I was like, sweetie, you don't look like a man. And you know, so we went to the men's room together, but then I was like, you know, so we went to amusement parks together, and then we had a couple of things happen, and people was like, you know, why is there a girl? The one little a child had said, why is there a girl in the men's room? And so, you know, we've had that happen. We went, you know, and so she got a little bit more comfortable by paying attention. She wasn't really paying attention to the audience of people around her when going to the restroom. And I know that has a lot to do with dysphoria and just everything that. So it took a moment for her to realize that she appeared female to others. And Ashleigh, you can talk about that a little bit if you like. But
And even to this day, even after doing all this stuff with Bobby and everything, going into the women's restroom, if I see a unisex bathroom, that's not time. If there's no go into the women's restroom, but if there is a unisex, that's the main one that would go into.
Right. And I understand that, you know, I understand everybody has to get comfortable, and I just think it's ridiculous that it should even be a subject or a problem. It shouldn't be a problem to use the bathroom, but everybody has to use the bathroom, and that's the reason I want to talk about it, because I shouldn't feel guilty. No matter how you identify, you should not feel guilty going into a bathroom. You should be able to just go to your business, and nobody likes to talk about that. You know, just go to your business in peace and wash your hands and come back out. It shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem at all. And so I don't understand why it is for so many people, but as we know, that has been a problem in the past. Now, some people, and in articles and stuff, I guess some people have said, and you know, that, well, they have stated that in trucking is one of the safest places for transgender people to be. And that was a quote that was actually quoted out. I'm not going to call people out who did that, but if you've ever seen the article, there's a big article about transgender and being in trucking, and trucking is the safest place for a transgender person to be. I personally do not agree with that. But at the same time, I don't feel that anyone should give up on what they want to do. If you want to be, I don't care. You want to be an astronaut, be an astronaut. It should not matter what your genitalia is, should not matter what your decisions is on what you want to be in life and what you want to do as your occupation. But do you guys, and I say that's one of my things that I say, and do you all believe that? Do you all feel that way, that trucking is one of the safest places for transgender people to be?
No, I disagree with that. I mean, I feel like dependent on your, I feel like a big part of it, and this is just from my point of view, you know, I feel like that's dependent on the states that you're in, and this, you know, and where you run, that I would be more, I guess, would be judgment to safety concerns, you know, like, because I feel like that's like a bigoted thing to say, but I mean, like, 'cause if you're on the West Coast, like Washington, Oregon, California, you know, they're in my opinion a lot more accepting of, you know, of transgender transgender individuals, in the community as a whole.
Right.
Whereas, like, in my experience going more like, I don't want to say like east, but like Midwest, like southern states, you get a
Right.
lot more people that are once they look at you, they'll glare at you, they'll say things to you. I mean, I've even seen pamphlets like when I was in Mississippi of like why it's a sin and why God hates transgender people. I mean, just left on a table at a Subway,
I've seen them at the
like
urinals, like at the urinals at the
yeah,
bathroom stalls. I have seen them
yeah,
left on the
yeah.
top of the toilet paper things, and yeah, I
And
have seen them.
that's not me representing people that live in these states as a whole, because I know that no matter where you go, there's always going to be individuals that do support the community, that do support transgender people. So I want to clarify on that it's not, I'm not saying
Right.
every single individual that lives
There's
there is like
assholes
that.
everywhere you go. I'll just say
Oh
that.
yeah.
It's simple.
Oh yeah.
There's
Well,
assholes everywhere you go.
yeah, and even even in Washington, Oregon, stuff like that, you still get them. But I felt more comfortable being myself and, saying like, my name Alyssa, and just being who I am more when I'm home, over in Washington or just, in those states versus like when I would, travel all 48 states. I would quote unquote, as some people call it, I would boy mode when I was in like Mississippi and like stuff like that, and that's just the first state that pops in my head, and it's unfortunate that it has to come to that, that and again, this is my own, I've tried to clarify this is my own my own experiences, but it was a sad reality and pretty dysphoric, having to put yourself aside who you are because you don't feel safe going into a truck stop, or you don't feel safe, just being out. And I feel like the trucking industry as a whole isn't, I feel like certain aspects and maybe certain companies and groups of people are more supportive, but I feel like there's a lot of truck drivers that would honestly just,
I feel like a lot of people are supportive. It's just like when gay pride rolls around. It seems like everybody's on the bandwagon for gay pride, and it's June, it's Pride Month, and then what happens the rest of the year? It's like everybody packs
yeah,
their pride stuff back away, and I hate that. It's
yeah,
Pride in my house 365. It doesn't change. Year round, I'm this big gay fabulous man, and it doesn't change. We wake up every day and we are our authentic selves, and we don't change who we are. And when you have people that want to talk about trans rights because it's Trans Awareness Week, or you want to have people that wants to, I've seen it this week. I've seen Transfix. I've seen a bunch of different posts from different people and Transfix is an amazing supporter year round, but there is a lot of people that's not. You have some that they get on the bandwagon just for the publicity of things, and then appeal as a place that hires all drivers or hires all people and accepts all people. But then when you really get down to it, it doesn't happen. So I guess that rolls into my kind of like another question I have, which is, have any of you experienced discrimination in the workplace? How did you deal with it, and what happened?
So the ironic thing about that is that the only place that I've ever felt openly discriminated against was when I was working for YRC Freight as a line haul driver. I would often wear T-shirts that say "This is what trans looks like," and at some point, that there was another one of these union guys who apparently thought it was a political statement. So he went through union measures and had me pulled into an office with my boss and another boss and my union rep, and they're just like, you can't do this because somebody made a complaint and they think it's political. And it's just fucking ridiculous, honestly. You know, they didn't give anybody company apparel, so it's just like everybody just wore what they wore, you know?
Right.
And I don't see how it's a political issue, because I know people that are right and left wingers that are freaking trans. So it's not one way or the other, honestly. That's the only time I've ever had this issue. Every other place I've worked, they're absolutely fine with me. As long as I come to work and do my job, they leave me alone. They're cool.
Going out to dinner, going out any places, have you ever had any other, is there any other areas that you've had any problems?
Nothing comes to mind, honestly.
See, I feel like Kira, you have a great confidence about you. And I know that underneath that confidence, I know you've had emotional times. Everyone does. And we all get into that spot of a negative mindset. That was actually how me and you talked the very first time. I was super worried about you based off a post that you had put up. He was going through a really rough time, and I just couldn't let it slide. I couldn't just keep scrolling on my Facebook without messaging you and saying something. And it was literally because I've lost people in my life that I love dearly, that were trans, that were gay, that were lesbian, and just afraid. And actually, I've lost people that were straight that, it may sound completely stupid. I had a friend that committed suicide because pretty much he had so many gay friends that he felt that he didn't belong, which was, and you wouldn't really think about that, but he felt that he didn't have an area that he belonged. So, I mean, and we get into these driver bubbles, is what I call them all the time as a driver. And you get into these safe spaces where you try to take care of your mental health yourself. You try to withdraw back, and I'm not saying it's not safe. I'm not saying it's not good. It's very good to ground yourself and rethink about things. But there are those moments where you withdraw back and you're not able to always be there on your own. So when someone reaches out, it's important. It's important to have a phone call like that, or someone to show that. I didn't know you at all, really, honestly, but I cared. I felt it through your post. I felt where your emotions were at that moment, and I had to reach out to you. It was just, and I know nobody else knows about this conversation, but besides us, but I just did. I see those things and I look. So I want that message to go across, because it's not always, we're so wrapped up in this technology world and Instagram posts and Twitter and Facebook, and you see these posts by people, and just know that sometimes don't keep scrolling through. That one little message of messaging someone can make or break their day. Like, you can make their day and you could save their life just by showing them a moment of saying, hey, I noticed you, and that you're important to me. And so I just want to talk about that a second, because drivers do feel that they get into a driver bubble, and separating yourself from non-driving community as well as the LGBTQIA separates you more from the outside world. So when you do put yourself in a driver bubble, how do you cope with that? How do you cope with withdrawing yourself from a lot of the negativity and the things happening in the world when you pull back? Because we all do it in our own way. How do you cope with it?
There's a tough question to answer. I still struggle a lot with what's going on in the world, especially with all the attacks on kids these days. In the beginning, I came out like just before Trump won the election, and I was just, at the time, I was swearing up and down. I'm like, there's no way he's ever going to get into office. But I knew that if he did, my life would be really over. So pretty much 4 years of him being the president, I broke down a lot mentally. That's probably when you were watching me have these breakdowns, was during this period where I just saw these political attacks, and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to live through this, you know? And it becomes a self-fulfilling thing. Like, you make your life more miserable if you allow it to seep into your psyche. And really all you got to do is just get up every fucking day and live your life the best you can, and try to push that out of your mind, because that's the only way we win, is so that people realize that we're out there and we're not living in fear. We're just living our lives.
Right. We can only do it one day at a time.
You talk about cope with when I go home once a month for about, some of the time I can 7 days off. Go off and I go to what's called pup space. Familiar with the pet part of the I mean, more into QIA platform, and this not so worried about what's going on in the, just a headspace. This dog that the child, even that, but that's still with what's going on with, like, political. I go in base of what is happening. I'm gonna comfort my how to, and it's harder to open up about stuff than it is to go to my. I am trained, to come out to my company of people, because I had we're how as a whole is being treated, and it to death that we're not in beings, because at the end it doesn't matter who you marry, who you like, how you identify yourself. They're all human beings. At the end of the day, it's respect.
Right.
Recently came out to my company, and I was like, "Are gonna handle this? Guys, see this and positioning." But to me, my pronouns are they. If you get ready to or need a doctor, we're here to help you. Donation part of it. I have felt this, and it's open only one of our terminals. I'm not gonna say it just for confidentiality, but one of our terminals that's up.
Breaking up really bad, Trooper.
Still hear me or not?
Yeah, we can hear you some, but you're breaking up really bad. The more you so I think that what I'm gonna do is, whenever you get home, whenever you do get home, I'm gonna do like a separate interview with you, I think, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I can hear you some here and there, but it's like the longer you talk, I don't know if it's the signal you're at or what it is, but I apologize about that, sweetie. I just it's really hard to hear. I heard most of it though. I just want to say, it's so hard to be who you are within the LGBTQ community, and it just as a human being in general, and leaving LGBTQ out of it. I mean, just being a human being in today's world is hard. It's that simple. and from your own peers and your own workers and everybody. That it's hard to be friends anymore. It's a job to be friends. It's a job to be in a relationship. It's a job to find anything. Like it's so hard. So I don't understand why people have to be so hard on each other. That's one of the big pet peeves right now that has been happening. Is I really can't stand when people are so hard on each other or like to call each other out on things. I feel that, just hold each other up, stop trying to attack each other is a huge message with this that I really want to get across, because every day we deal with mental health, and mental health is hard enough in the industry, with dealing with brokers and everything you have to deal with within the industry, getting to your shipper, receiver, and you're tired and you're driving tired and all the things that you have to deal with. It's so hard. So why hate on each other all the time? It's just a horrible thing, to put that stress on somebody. With that being said, I want to talk about a subject that may seem a little, I don't know, touchy or whatever to some people, but it's not to me, because if you don't talk about it, you don't educate. And whether it's good or bad, we're going to talk about it. So one of the things that happens a lot is hate within the trans industry on other trans people. I absolutely hate when you get in these groups or you get in these places and people feel like, well, you didn't transition right, or you didn't get breasts before you got whatever, your hairline surgery, or they can be so mean and so hateful. And I just think it's absolutely ridiculous, because everyone's transition is different. Everyone's. And where they want to take their transition is different as well. Some people never get any surgeries. They just are happy with who they are and waking up every day and throwing on a wig and some makeup, and that's it. And then some people don't do makeup or even a wig. They just identify as how they identify, and that's how they live their day. And that should be fine. It should be fine. Like, stop being so ugly to each other. That bothers me so much. So I want to talk about, I know that a lot of I'm going to put this video up, and we're going to talk about this for a second as soon as the video is done. A lot of people like this person. A lot of people hate this person. So I'm going to put this video up, and then we'll talk about it after. This is a Pink News thing that they just did, and we'll watch it for a second and be right back.
33 of being a girl, and this video is for Caitlyn Jenner.
Trans icon and TikTok superstar Dylanmulvaney has clapped back after she was misgendered and branded an absurdity by Caitlyn Jenner.
You have personally subjected me to thousands and thousands of hateful eyes. You are Woman of the Year. This is not Woman of the Year behavior.
The backlash all began after Mulvaney met with President Joe Biden to discuss trans issues.
Do you think states should have a right to ban gender-affirming healthcare?
I don't think any state or anybody should have the right to do that. I just think it's wrong.
Senator Marsha Blackburn joined in the bigotry, reposting an old TikTok video of Mulvaney discussing trans women's bodies, saying, "Radical left-wing lunatics want to make this absurdity normal." It was here that Caitlyn Jenner, who herself has previously spoken out about not judging trans women by how they look, retweeted Blackburn in agreement. She praised the senator for having a backbone and to not normalise any of what this person is doing. In further tweets, the Olympian and former partner of Kris Jenner went on to misgender Dylan.
This one made me go, ah, not you calling me a he. That is just, oh, terrible.
But support for Dylan has come flooding in. Many also praised Dylan for shutting down Caitlyn while also giving a masterclass in grace, urging her followers to be kind to Jenner despite her transphobic and harmful remarks. We love to see the continued support for Dylan and hope that she continues to speak her truth and inspire younger generations of trans people.
All right, so I just wanted to show that video just because, in case anybody out there says, hey, trans hate does not happen, yada, yada. It does happen. It happens. You can pull up any trans group and you're going to find it. This of course, is more between TikTok star and then Caitlyn Jenner, of course, and I do love that she is using her platform to be able to go and speak to senators and Congress women and men and trying to create a change for people who are trans. So when this happens, when things like this happen to this magnitude, how does it make you feel?
I've never really been a fan of Caitlyn Jenner, honestly. And what's ironic, though, is that I think that probably her coming out probably was the thing that spurred me to come out. So that's kind of an odd position for me to be in. It is weird how just anybody in general can have this, they can just make one freaking public opinion. And there's just this hate-filled echo chamber that fills it up, which is again why I try to like pull myself back from it. You know, the best thing I can do is just not expose myself to it. You know, I know it's going to happen, so it's just best to not fixate on it, because it will only serve to make your life more miserable. Right. The people that you need to focus on are the ones that are in your immediate sphere. Are they dangerous to you? Are they helpful to you? Those are the ones you need to concern yourself with. These celebrities, they can have their opinions.
You know, I love when celebrities do, and even TikTok stars, whatever you want to call them. Some of them, you know, some of them are famous for absolutely nothing. I really feel, and but I do like when they speak out and try to make a change with and do good with their popularity. And I don't really consider, I don't even consider the Kardashians really famous to me. Like, they're just famous for nothing. Like, but that's today's world. You know, we've made these people famous for no reason, really. And but I do love when people speak out and they do try to make a change and try to, but I don't like when people are attacking each other. That energy that you use to attack somebody, or even just to get into all that drama, if you take and consume all of that, you know, there's so much good you could do with it rather than paying attention to all that nonsense. So, you know, don't try to be hating on each other so much is what I'm trying to get to. It's so hard. It's hard. You know, Alyssa's still at a point where, you know, she doesn't know which bathroom to use yet, or not comfortable. And emotionally, that's a huge step to go through. I can remember Ellie, you know, I had talked to her a while back, and we had that conversation. And bathroom always seems to be the biggest thing, because it's just you shouldn't have to feel bad to go to the bathroom. I just think it's ridiculous. So, and you shouldn't have to feel bad to go do anything. You know, I remember, I will not say do not do this, do not do as I do, but I can remember a point in time that I was getting ready for a pageant myself, and it was not a bathroom thing, but I told Ashleigh about this, and she about died laughing. We was just on this subject about a week ago, because at one point in time, I was a little catty diva bitch, whatever you want to call me. But I remember going to the local, like, JCPenney at the mall, and there was this little woman. It was a total Pretty Woman scene. I literally called up all my girlfriends we were all getting ready for a pageant. It was a local pageant back in West Virginia, and the girl was like, "You can't try on dresses here." Okay. And of course I was, as a guy, but you know, as a performer, you still have to try dresses on somewhere when you go to buy them. And then I got the manager. The manager said I could. It corrected her and everything. She, of course, was not the happiest. And so, being a little catty diva that I was back then, and still can be at times, I called all of my drag queen friends to come try on dresses with me, and we made a horrible mess of the whole room.
I love that.
But there's moments that, you know, you just have to, I don't know, and that's not really don't do as I do, but I just will tell you, it's just those moments. There's moments you have of that, and it still was fun, and it still was fun to do, but it's just like, I don't understand why people are so worried about what does it matter? What does it matter? There's men that walk around every day in coveralls that I know that like silky women's underwear and they don't identify. Everybody has fetishes. Everybody has all these different things. So why is it such a problem? Why does it matter? And and then don't even start with the point of people want after you do transition. I have so many friends that then they're like, but why are you still with women if you're a woman? And that's even, that blows other people's mind. I'm like, why does it matter? Well, you know what? If you find love, you find love. It shouldn't matter who, it shouldn't matter. That's just my biggest thing with it. It should not matter. And I know Kira has been in relationships, so it's in I don't know. Do you feel that when you change to be yourself and make the outward match how you felt on the inside, does it change who you're attracted to?
I don't necessarily think it changed who I was attracted to just so much as made me feel out my own sexuality better, I guess.
Okay. Being more comfortable?
Yeah. I mean, I've dated everybody. I've dated trans men, I've dated trans women, I've dated cis men, cis women, and I feel so much more comfortable because there's not this pressure to perform as what society thinks you are. Instead, I'm just being myself.
Right.
So people who might have seen me before when I was a man, they would have expected me to behave in a manner that was manly. And now that I've taken the gloves off, so to speak, I can feel my own femininity. I don't feel like it's performative anymore. I think it was a performative before.
Right.
So once I take that performance off, I'm more free to love anybody.
Well, and a lot of the people in my life that are trans, a lot of them were in such masculinity roles, over masculinity roles. Like they tried so hard to be sergeants and military and Air Force, like and there's so many people that are trans that once were served for our country, and so I feel that when they were their prior self, I feel like they tried so hard to be masculine, over masculine, if that's correct. But I mean, I feel that way. And even Denise was a wonderful person, a part of our page for a long time, and she does a lot of veterans things, and we have had many talks where she had done amazing work, but before she became Denise, she was a cop and then had been military and done all these very official roles, and always had to rank and go clear to the top. As she couldn't stop at one spot. She had to go all the way. And I feel that, talking with her, she always would say, I couldn't just stop where I was at. I had to just keep going. I had to be the most masculine I could be. And she was always covering up the real person inside as much as possible. But once she was able to just be Denise and be herself, she just became this beautiful person that didn't have all that stress and had just let a lot of it go, and when she was able to do that, unfortunately, when people transition and they find their selves, their true selves, or who they are, they lose a lot of family members, lose a lot of a support network. And I know Ashleigh has went through a lot of that herself. Kira, you have as well. I mean, it happens. I don't know Alyssa's story completely. Have you had, how has your process been, and what has happened for you as far as like support wise and network wise with your family and friends?
So, like, going back a little bit, you know, I grew up in a household that was more predominantly like Christian. They weren't. So when I was younger, we were, you know, really religious, and it kind of died off, and then kind of picked back up. I for one was never really religious. But my household wasn't like aggressive or anything like that. You know, I did have a good childhood, I would say, compared to a lot of people. But you know, like the LGBTQ like community and stuff like that wasn't really talked about much in our house. Same with, you know, like I guess like just the community as a whole. So like growing up, I wasn't, excuse me, I wasn't really knowledgeable on it. And then um, just about 2 years ago, when I started figuring out that I was transgender, you know, huge thanks to my partner that actually helped help me discover myself. Uh, Overall, once I came out and made it public, and started to transition, about a year later, I haven't really lost any people in my life. I've lost a few, but I've been very thankful and lucky to say that I've had a consistent, you know, group of friends and family that have supported me. I mean, I've even had family that I didn't think would support me that are supporting me. I mean, like my sister is um very Christian, very religious, and even she supports me, you know, and stuff like that. So I will say I am very lucky in that aspect, but support wise, I haven't really lost many. It's only been, you know, a few friends, but
Right.
you know, who are they to be considered friends if, you know, they don't appreciate you and respect you for who you are, you know?
So for you, Alyssa, would you, how do you feel about a lot of, or have you seen it as well, the within your own community of people who are transgender? Do you see, or how do you deal with the hate and negativity that happens when people feel you should be doing things a certain way, or have you really dealt with that yet?
I personally have not really seen much of it. The groups I've been in and the people I've talked to, like the fellow transgender individuals and stuff that I've talked to, they haven't. I haven't really seen hate there. I do know it exists. I have heard others talk about examples that they've dealt with, or things that have been said to them. And honestly, I find it complete bullshit. I I don't see the transgender community. A lot of people struggle in aspects of their lives within transitioning, and you know, a lot that comes with it. The last thing that anyone needs, especially looking to other transgender individuals um that have, you know, transitioned longer, you know, have, you know, predominantly more experience and knowledge with these things. The last thing they need to see from those who they look up to is hate.
Right.
It's, I mean, it's a disgusting behavior, in my
Right.
opinion. It's we all need to support each other. You know, that's where we're all going to succeed. And when it's like you divide the community into two, you know, when there's bickering, when there's you know, hate, when there's just anger, and it, like you had said earlier, everybody's transition is different. Everybody's experiences are different. How they feel about themselves is different. It's literally every individual has their own journey. You know, the baseline premise, obviously, with us, you know, taking those steps to, you know, be one with ourselves, to be who we are, is the same, but along that road, you know, everybody's different, and I just, yeah, I don't see the need for it.
I feel like, you know, if someone has a point or someone has, there's nothing wrong with someone saying, you know, I've been there already and I've done this. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that you have to say, this is the way to go, but finish that statement. Finish that statement. Instead of just saying, I've been there, I've done this, educate that person. Talk about your experience and give someone, you know, that may just be starting or just transitioning, and someone else has transitioned for a few years and they've been in that spot, instead of casting out an opinion on how something should be done, educate them. Tell them about your experience. Give them a little insight to why you feel the way you do about a certain subject. And I think that if you educate somebody, that's completely different. I think that these opinionated statements of saying that this should be done this way or that way, well, then tell me why you feel that way. You know, if people would continue on, they wouldn't look so ignorant at times, because there's a reason you feel that way, but nobody ever puts the rest of the effort. They want to be keyboard warriors all the time and just get on there and type their opinion and then run away. And instead, just tell us why. You know, you may help somebody along with their journey way more than just putting an opinion out there with no background on it. And I just think it's really important to educate. And that's just why I wanted to talk today. I wanted us to sit here and chat, was because there's so many different opinions on things. One thing that, so this may ruffle feathers, I'm sorry in advance, but I have found this personally, I have found this myself. I have wonderful friends, and you know, Kiera, Ellie. I have tons of friends within the industry. Ronnie, that are trans and just amazing people. However, I do find sometimes some people that are a little bit more in the limelight, and I won't say just in the limelight, but maybe they're just keyboard warriors. I don't know. This is my own question, and you can attack me over asking it. But I do feel sometimes within the trans world, and it may sound weird I say it that way, but when you get into those social groups, it's like a trans world sometimes, and you can get lost in it, because so many people, like I said, say this is this way, this is that way, you have to do this, you shouldn't wear colored wigs, you should always have nails, you should always wear eyelashes. I have seen some of them get a little chaotic. But I do notice that sometimes people, as they transition, and I don't know if it is because of how society treats them, makes them this way, but this is why my question is coming up. So as people transition, I have noticed many times on occasion, they take on almost a negative trait, and they become very defensive and on the defense a lot, and even at times may seem rude or overbearing, because I don't know if it's how society has treated them that made them that way. And then, but I have noticed that a lot of people do this, and it's when they first start transitioning, they get this very negative. Well, why don't you know my fucking pronouns? Why can't you tell? I have tits. That makes me a woman. I have seen comments, and I'm just asking these things. Do I look like a man to you? Like I've seen the negativity, and I understand where you can get upset and very hurt and lost, but when that happens, when that negativity comes out and it consumes people for a little while within the trans community, do you know why that happens, or have a personal opinion on it?
I don't understand exactly why it happens, but I know that you're right. There is some catty and fighting in the community. I generally just try to steer clear of it because there is no one way to freaking transition, and nobody should have any right to say you, in order to be XYZ, you have to have your nails done and to have your makeup done, and it's just bullshit, because there are days that I will walk out of my apartment with not anything on, and that would identify me in those manners as feminine. And I get treated just fine by the rest of the world. They just fucking get it, So I don't understand why trans people got to tear each other down in that manner. But for some reason, there is a bit of a cabal, I guess, of the older ones that seem to think that they know exactly what the younger ones need to be doing, and they kind of condescend to them. And I'm not that way. I'm like, whatever you feel you need to do to feel comfortable with yourself, then you just need to do it, and don't let anybody tell you different.
Now, I worry that sometimes that bitterness comes from loneliness, and that's the reason I pay attention to some of those people when they're acting out that way. I feel like there's always a reason behind it when people act that way. So that's why I wanted to talk about it, because some people may not realize they're doing it sometimes. And when you talk about it, and someone may watch this, this message is for someone out there who's going to stumble across the video and be like, God, I hope I don't act that way, and may rethink something that they've said, or they may hear it come out of their own mouth and be like, oh my gosh, did I just say that? So, it's all a journey. Hell, I mean, being straight is a journey. Everything that we're doing, everything is a journey, everything's a journey in life. So just because someone's journey is different than yours, just don't judge it. They have to live it. You don't. So I don't understand all the stuff, but with all of that being said, I know that we've hit our hour, and I really appreciate you guys being here. And that's something that I say all the time, and that I'll say that really fast. I say you guys, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just habit. It's a very bad habit. I don't care if you're straight woman, whatever. I say you guys to anybody that's a group of something. It doesn't matter, I say it to my dogs, you guys, come on. Like, when I do, it's habit. But I do know that a lot of people get upset on pronouns. So that'll be probably our last thing we talk about before closing. And I understand the importance of pronouns. I understand the importance of someone just being themselves. And that's what everybody has to understand, is you're just finally bringing yourself out of a shell. So I don't want anyone running back in that shell. I want you to feel comfortable in your truck, in your home, sitting down to dinner, sitting down to pee, or whatever you got to do. You should feel comfortable. We should not be feeling any other way but that. The day is long every day, and we're blessed with another day every time we wake up, whether it's 2 a.m. or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And so there's so many people that, I'll use my mom and dad as an example. My mom and dad are 80 and 81. And my little old dad, so he does not offend everybody, Whether you're male, female, trans, gay, it does not matter. But he's going to call you honey and sweetie. He doesn't want to offend anybody, so he calls everyone honey and sweetie. Grocery store, I don't care. You're a little 19-year-old boy. Thank you, honey. You have a good day, sweetie. That is my dad. And we welcome so many people here at the house, and for Christmas and different things, because a lot of people don't have families. So I open our home up every year to drivers and families and just people that people don't have anywhere to go. I share my family with them. And I wish that everybody was like my dad. My dad tries so hard. He's like, I don't really want to offend anybody. And, so he tries. And, but I know someone out there probably be offended by him calling them honey or sweetie. But still, he just tries in his own innocent way at 81 years old, and so the importance of labels and the importance of pronouns, and how do you all deal with that, and how does that set with you?
I honestly don't care how people that I don't know on any daily basis, I don't care how they think of me, because they're nobody to me, So if they're going to misgender me as just a random person in my life, I don't care. But if it's somebody in my social sphere and they're not getting it right, I will correct them to a degree. Right. And occasionally I've had coworkers where I currently work who have slipped up, but they're quick to apologize and then move forward. The fact that they're trying is important. The issues that I ever encountered as a truck driver where I felt like I was misgendered the most was always when I was on the phone. There was one warehouse that I'd always pick up, and you would hit a call button that would connect you to some country. It wasn't even the United States. You had a very thick, go to P and accent kind of thing, and they would hear my voice and they would call me sir. And I think that by default, people in those situations, they assume that most truck drivers are all men. And since I don't have a feminine sounding voice, that's just the way it went. And it wasn't worth my time to correct them, because they're not going to be a regular in my life.
I get people all the time that call me ma'am. So
I just don't,
especially on the phone, people call me ma'am all the time. So I go on about my day about it, but there is so many people that put so much energy into how they're addressed when it comes to the Starbucks counter or being out. And I do think that there is some instances where people do it to piss other people off. And in that moment is your decision what you do with it, how you act. Now, sometimes I understand. I can completely understand it. If I'm having a bad day, it might be the day that you just don't mess with me and I'm going to tell you off. Yeah, I get that.
The video that comes to mind is the woman who lost it at a GameStop.
Yep.
I think her name is Tiffany Michelle. She's actually on my friends list. I've never really communicated with her, but I understand why she lost her patience. I'm not certain that the people there were doing it intentionally, Right. And I think that that's the big difference is that some people will make a misstep and they may not be doing it maliciously, right. But it's just like I said, what does it matter if the person at the GameStop knows how to pronoun you correctly? I mean, they're nobody to you. You're just going to buy your game and leave, So I don't know. I would hate to be that one person that ended up on a viral video of me losing my shit about that.
Right. Well, I mean, but I bring it up. I bring it up just for that reason, though, because there is people that on the daily think that you instantly should know, and even the moment that they meet you. And I will tell you, I have met a couple of times in my life being at a gay bar or being out, and honestly, I just asked someone, how would you like to be addressed? And I asked them this because I could not tell um, I couldn't tell. I mean, it's just that simple. I just couldn't tell whether they wanted to be addressed as male or female, and so to me, I don't find it offensive by asking, because I feel that that is gaining knowledge and talking about it. And I know I can, that comes to mind in the industry. I had a friend that got very offended because their dispatcher had asked, "How would you like to be addressed?" And I was like, "They don't see you every day. Why are you getting all bent out of shape about this? They talk to you on the phone, so all they hear is a voice." And this person was just asking you, why jump all over them and bite their head off over something? Just tell them how you want to be addressed and let them make note of it. It had been different. I feel it's different if you go down the road and it is a mistake they keep making a year, 6 months, a year and a half later. When they keep making that mistake, that means they're not trying. And I think that that is, a big thing that that needs to be talked about. But so, Alyssa, do you deal with any of that? Is any of that set with you? I mean, are you?
Oh yeah, I get misgendered daily, like 24/7 it seems like. And I for me, I am very, I've never had confidence. Like I've never had confidence even before I started transitioning. I struggle with it. So like me correcting someone, that 90% of the people that have misgendered me, I don't get upset over it, like angry, because I know that 90% of the time I felt like it's obviously not an ill intent. That it's not like they're like, I'm gonna misgender this person. But for me, like correcting somebody is an astronomical feat that I can't seem to say 5 words. I struggle very hard with that. Like I said, I personally don't get upset. The flip side to that though is it it bothers me in a dysphoric way. Like I'm not angry, but when somebody misgenders me, I instantly jump in my head like, okay, do I look masculine? Like, did I forget to like shave, or what was something that happened? I was like, do I need, and then I'm like, what do I need to do to correct that so it doesn't happen? But like Kira said, I mean, you shouldn't care when it comes to just like everyday people that you go to the gas station, you go to the truck stop. I had a similar situation where when I was local, I'd always pick up at this one, it was Niagara Bottling, and same thing, you would hit a call button on like a call box, it would link you to somebody, and all they could hear was your voice. I'm sure they had a camera, but they would always say, "Sir." I mean, because again, like Kira had said, that
that's the exact warehouse that I'm talking about, Niagara Bottling.
Wait, nuh-uh.
Yeah, the one that they had in Oklahoma City. Yeah, it's
Oh man. Mine was over in Puyallup.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, okay, so yeah, that's that place. And that's not a diss to the company. I'm not trying to shed bad light on the company. I just it was the same thing. You would hit the button, like I said, and most people assume that yes, truck drivers are predominantly male. Most people have it in their heads that you think of truck drivers, you don't think of women or anything of that. Like a different. It's always males. So I in a way I kind of understand that they would just jump to like sir or whatever. But it's becoming such commonplace now that I feel like, you know, at businesses and jobs and stuff like that, that they should at least get maybe like a little bit of training on like some aspect of like asking, or, you know, or I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. I don't have the words for
You're
it.
fine, you're
I
fine.
just, yeah, I don't know. And I know sometimes even like asking, it could be, you know, for some could be intimidating in a sense because they don't want to offend said person. I mean, I guess, you know, I could see how it goes both ways. You know, I'm not on the other side of like asking someone like, hey, how do you want to be addressed, you know?
Right.
But yeah, overall, I think, yes, getting upset over random people that you just, you know, talk to maybe once, you know, every day, or, you know, however it be. I think getting angry and upset over it probably shouldn't be a huge thing, you know, because you aren't going to see him again. I know, you know, again, like you had said, you know, you have those days where you're just right on that edge of just, you know, blowing up. Oh, you know, you just had enough of the day, you know.
Right.
So I understand like situations like that could be enough to push somebody far enough to be like, you know, get angry. But
So,
yeah,
let's see, Ashley, do you ever, I know that you are not in trucking, but um, being in food service, I'm sure that you may encounter this from time to time as well. So have you
It's
had?
actually, it's kind of funny. I used to get as a bisexual man before coming out than I do now. I know that's kind of crazy to think about, but it is true. Always, every time I would get on the phone with whoever it was always ma'am, and I'm like thinking to myself, well, it was just really when I was working in food service. I really haven't had a problem. I came out, started living as who I am. Honestly,
So
I
you're
thought
feeling,
I was going to get more being trans, and being in the food service industry. I've gendered a lot more than I have. I can probably count maybe 2 or since coming out.
okay. Well, I want to leave with a message and by saying thank you to Alyssa, Kira, and Ashley, and Trooper for being here. We will later on, I'm going to do a little bit of individual interviews with a couple, and so look forward for those as well. You know, Transgender Awareness Week is an amazing thing that does happen, and that we do give visibility and light to situations. The thing is, you know, we do need to protect our trans community. And in 2021, there was 53 transgender homicides in America, and that's 25 more than the previous year. And every year this keeps happening, and the numbers keep going up. This year already we are at 37, and we still have like a month and a half to go, and that's just in America. Worldwide, there's over 353 deaths that has happened this year, and that keeps growing. Many of the deaths that has happened at like Tiger Truck Stop and other places across America, there has been that I have been following over the last 4 to 5 years. There's been at least 7 trans deaths with drivers left in their trucks, and then that being dismissed. And literally, they dismiss it because they may be looking for someone on a dating app or maybe Grindr or whatever it may be. But no matter what the situation is, there's never an excuse for death. And through education, awareness, and talking about these things, we need to be able to keep our trans community safe and protect everyone. everyone within our LGBTQ community. And the only way we can do that is through education and talking to each other and putting visibility out there and keeping people safe by talking. I thank you, all three of you, for being here today. I'm going to leave you guys with a last video, and just please remember to say the names of these people, say the names, and remember the faces of the people that we have lost. It grows every year, and it's not okay. One death is too many. So I thank you all very much.